Breaking news. Just days before the start of the 2025 NFL season, the New England Patriots have shocked the football world, cutting one of the league's most consistent safeties, Jabrill Peppers. And now all eyes turn to Pittsburgh. Could the Steelers swoop in and land this unexpected free agent? The timing couldn't be more dramatic. But before we dive into the latest breaking updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the biggest Steelers news as it happens. Alright, let's move on to today's top story. Peppers, a veteran safety with over 500 career tackles, 7 interceptions, and a reputation as a hard-hitting leader, was surprisingly released by New England. According to multiple reports, the Patriots will still owe him over $4 million this season, but the move clears the way for him to hit the open market immediately. For the Steelers, the question is clear. With Minkah Fitzpatrick now gone and only Chuck Clark and Juan Thornhill holding down the safety spots, could Peppers be the missing piece on defense? At 30 years old, he wouldn't be a long-term answer, but his physicality, experience, and ability to contribute on special teams make him a fascinating short-term option. And let's be honest, Pittsburgh knows what kind of impact a veteran safety can bring. This decision by New England may just have gifted the Steelers a golden opportunity. After the release, many around New England were stunned. Reporters covering the Patriots had praised Jabrill Peppers all summer, saying he was sharp in camp and showing veteran leadership. His departure wasn't just unexpected, it was shocking. If you track his career arc, the growth is clear. Early on, Peppers was viewed as an average safety, solid but not special. But when he arrived in New England in 2022, everything changed. Over the last 2 seasons, he graded above 80 in Pro Football Focus rankings, numbers that put him among the top safeties in the NFL. In fact, his 2023 campaign was arguably the best of his career, proving that he wasn't just a role player, but a difference maker. So how does that fit with the Steelers? Well, Peppers brings versatility that few defenders possess. He can line up deep in coverage, step into the box like a hybrid linebacker, or move around in dime packages. He's quick, physical, and one of the better tacklers at his position. That kind of flexibility would give Pittsburgh's defense even more options. But here's the key: while adding him would clearly make the defense stronger, the Steelers aren't desperate. Juan Thornhill has been outstanding in camp, flying around the field, creating turnovers, and showing why he once helped anchor a Super Bowl defense. And in the box, Deshaun Elliott remains one of the hardest hitters and most reliable tacklers in the league. In short, Pittsburgh's safety room is already in good hands. Peppers would be a luxury, not a necessity. If he signs, it's a bonus. If not, this defense still has every chance to be the most dominant unit in football this season. When you really step back and look at it, if the weakest part of your defense is the safety group, you're still in a great position. Adding Jabrill Peppers would certainly raise the ceiling, but even without him, this Steelers defense is already built to dominate. That brings us to another storyline, the wide receiver position. Many fans had wondered whether Pittsburgh might take a look at former Patriots and 49ers receiver Kendrick Bourne. But the latest reports shut that door. Bourne already has visits lined up with San Francisco and Washington, and the Steelers are nowhere on that list. Now, the speculation around Bourne made some sense. He's a willing blocker, he's familiar with systems similar to Arthur Smith's, and he's a tough depth option. But Pittsburgh seems to be targeting a different kind of receiver altogether. Their recent interest has centered on players like Gabe Davis and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, bigger-bodied vertical threats who can step into the X-receiver role, the same mold as DK Metcalf. It's a smart approach. The Steelers know that if their top wideout were to miss time, they'd need someone with that size and skill set to keep the offense balanced. Unfortunately, MVS is already headed to San Francisco, and Gabe Davis is battling a knee issue that clouds his availability. That leaves the Steelers weighing their options carefully, and as of now, it doesn't look like Bourne fits the plan. The Steelers' approach at wide receiver is becoming clearer. Instead of rushing to sign a veteran like Kendrick Bourne, they're showing confidence in their young talent, especially rookie Roman Wilson. Pittsburgh drafted Wilson to eventually become their long-term number 2 option, and right now, they're giving him that chance. It's a bold strategy. Think about how the Vikings are treating rookie quarterback JJ. McCarthy throwing him into a big role on a win-now team. The Steelers are taking a similar gamble with Wilson, betting that his speed, route running, and playmaking ability will translate quickly. If it works, Pittsburgh gains a dynamic young weapon. And if it doesn't, the team still has the option to pivot midseason and bring in a proven veteran. For now, the message is clear: Wilson and Calvin Austin III will get their shot. The Steelers want to see what they can do before making any panic moves. And while Bourne brings toughness and blocking ability, he doesn't fit the explosive, vertical profile Pittsburgh seems to value most in its receiving core. Shifting gears, let's talk about leadership and specifically Aaron Rodgers. Reports out of Pittsburgh suggest Rodgers has already changed the tone inside the locker room. According to The Athletic's Jeff Howe, Rodgers has injected a new level of accountability into the offense, something this group badly needed. Insiders describe him as someone who won't let standards slip, who pushes teammates to do things the right way every single day. That stands in sharp contrast to last year, when Russell Wilson was known for keeping things positive, sometimes to a fault. With Rodgers, the culture feels tougher, sharper, and far more demanding. And for a franchise chasing its first Super Bowl in over a decade, that shift could be exactly what the Steelers need. One of the biggest contrasts inside the Steelers' locker room right now is the leadership style at quarterback. Last year, Russell Wilson brought constant positivity, and while that optimism had value during training camp and in the early weeks of the season, it didn't always match the reality once adversity hit. When injuries piled up and the defense stumbled, his message stayed the same: "We're good, everything will be fine." But sometimes players don't need reassurance. They need accountability. That's where Aaron Rodgers is different. He doesn't sugarcoat. If someone isn't doing their job, he makes it clear. And while that can rub some people the wrong way, it also sets the standard. Rodgers doesn't have time to wait. He knows this could be his final chance to chase his second Lombardi trophy. Every practice, every rep, every detail matters, and he demands that urgency from everyone around him. The effect is noticeable. Players don't just respect Rodgers, they don't want to let him down. From veterans like DK Metcalf to young talents like Roman Wilson and Jalen Warren, you hear it in the way they talk about him. Rodgers builds relationships that carry weight. When your quarterback holds himself accountable and demands the same from others, the culture shifts. This isn't about false confidence or empty motivation. It's about raising the bar. And with Rodgers setting the tone, the Steelers believe they have a leader who can drive this team to the highest standard in football. Aaron Rodgers' leadership is already reshaping the tone in Pittsburgh, but he's not the only storyline to watch. On defense, one young player is quickly turning heads, and that's linebacker Peyton Wilson. The former NC State standout has been drawing rave reviews from both coaches and teammates. Patrick Queen, one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL, admitted Wilson might actually be quicker. That's remarkable, considering Wilson spent the offseason adding nearly 20 pounds of muscle without sacrificing speed. Last year, he excelled in coverage as a lighter, rangy defender. This year, with added strength, he looks ready to handle the physical demands of stopping the run while still flying around in pass defense. Combine that with Queen, an all-pro talent in his own right, and Pittsburgh suddenly has one of the most dynamic linebacker duos in football. And if Wilson stays healthy, the ceiling is sky high. In fact, there are whispers inside camp that he could become not just the team's best linebacker, but one of the most impactful defenders on the entire roster, a roster that already includes stars like T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Cameron Hayward. That's how much belief there is in Wilson. His athleticism, versatility, and toughness give the Steelers a weapon they haven't had in years at the off-ball linebacker spot. Some around the league believe he's destined to become the future leader of this defense. And if the progress he's shown continues into 2025, that future may arrive sooner than anyone expected.